Hey, this is Andrew Brown from Exam Pro, and we're taking a look here at Azure AD external identities. And the idea here is that it allows people outside your organization to access your apps and resources while letting them sign in using whatever identity they prefer. So whether it's your partners, distributors, suppliers, vendors, or other guest users, you can bring your own identities. So it supports logins like Google and Facebook. There's so many more, and I'll show you in a moment. But the idea here is you can share your apps with external users, develop apps intended for Azure AD tenants, develop white label apps for consumers and customers. And there's two external identities. So there's B2B and B2C. So B2B is when you're working with another organization and they probably have their own Azure AD or their own identity service that they want to connect to your app or services. And B2C is when you're dealing with customers, they're not part of an identity service, they're just individuals, okay? And so when we're talking about IPD support, so identity providers, it's a big old list here. So you got ADFS, Amazon, Apple, Azure AD, single tenant, multi-tenant, to B2C, eBay, Facebook, generic identity providers, GitHub, ID.me, Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft account, QQ, Salesforce SAML protocol, Twitter, WeChat, and Weibo. And this is pretty darn thorough because when you look at Amazon Cognito, which is AWS's offering, does not have LinkedIn, does not have Twitter, does not have GitHub. I mean, one of these might be able be possible, but it's very hard to implement on theirs. And so this is where I feel that Azure AD B2C has a competitive advantage. Maybe not as great as Okta, which is a third party, but I think that Azure AD B2C beats them on price for sure and meets most use cases. If we're going to just do a quick comparison between the B2B and B2C offering, just to really solidify the difference, we break it down into scenario intended, IPD support, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just go through here and see what the difference is. So looking at the scenario, collaboration using Microsoft applications. This one is an IAM for modern SaaS or custom developed applications. For intended use cases, collaborating with business partners from external organizations, and this is customers of your product. For identity support, you have work accounts, school accounts, any email address, SAML, WS-Fed based identity providers, Gmail, Facebook. And for B2C, you have local applications, social identities, users with corporate and gov identities, etc. B2C, I believe, is more expansive between the two. External user management, managed in the same directory as employees, and then for B2C, managed separately from the organization, employees, and partner directories. For SSO, Azure AD Connected app is supported, and for SSO on B2C, it's customer-owned apps with Azure AD B2C tenants is supported. For policy and compliance, managed by the host inviting organization, and for B2C, it's managed by the organizations via conditional access and identity protection. For branding, the host inviting organization brand is used, and for B2C, it's fully customized branding per application or organization. For billing models, they're both based on monthly active users, so MAUs, and there you go.